and welcome. You are listening to At Home with Ifeno. Here, we'll talk about helping women know and understand their worth, find fulfillment in who they are, and in what they do. Every other week, we'll talk about your identity as a woman, discovering your unique purpose, intentionally raising the next generation, and your influence in homemaking. I am your host, Ifoma Nneka Omoni. Hello, and welcome to another exciting time on At Home with Ifeno. So, how is everything with you today? Are you at home or on your way to work, or you're about opening your business, your operation center where you do your business? Whatever you might be engaging, I want to welcome you, whether it is morning, afternoon, or evening, because the world is now on our palms. We are in the global era where we can be with anyone at any time in the world. So I welcome you to an inspiring, informative, and what's the wild time on At Home with Ifeno. We want you to feel comfortable, be at ease, and today is going to be not a solo show with just me, even though I always say that I'm not alone. God is with me whenever I'm here. So I have a very special guest on our show today, and the topic we have today is one that we cannot run away from, because we wouldn't be here today without this very important institution. I have with me Pastor Ben Yoro, and I would like us to welcome him with our special At Home with Ifeno welcome. You are welcome, Ben Yoro. Thank you for coming. You have also shown the platform and our listeners that we are gender sensitive or we are gender friendly. So many people feel that my guests are only women. No, my guests are not just women. The guests are always carefully selected. So you have joined the role of men that have been on this podcast. You are welcome, and we are honored to have you. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a privilege. And
so I would like you to do the honors of introducing yourself. Many times we introduce ourselves based on what we have read in the university, titles, and our roles, our present roles. But I know that we are more than all those things, appellations that we add to our names. So I would like you to introduce yourself, telling our listeners what you want them to always remember when they hear the name Ben Yoro. What do you want them to remember? Who is Ben Yoro?
Okay, I think if you want it that way, I'll say when you hear the name Ben Yoro, just remember son of my right hand.
Wow.
Because my name, Benjamin, means son of my right hand. And for me, I live to be God's son of right hand. I live to be a son of his right hand, to please him, to give him my all, to give him my best, And also my book is titled Son of My Right Hand. So if you remember or hear the name Ben Yoro, son of my right hand.
Son of my right hand. What an introduction. So from your bio, I saw that you are a sports enthusiast. Do you engage in any of the sports to relax?
Not actively, but I like to take walks. Okay. I like that. That's something that is regular, at least weekly. I like to take walks because it allows me to think, it allows me to calm down, and so that, if you call it a sport, well, I think walking is a sport. I'm even in the Olympics, so I'll call that my own strength for now, as it were.
Okay. So we have son of my right hand, who takes walks to relax, meditate, and cool off. Very, very interesting. So you're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I am aware that you have been married for almost a decade now. So
yes.
you are experienced in what we will be talking about today. So our topic for today is actually marriage. Is it God's idea or man's idea? And the first thing I would like to ask you based on that topic, trying to find out if marriage just came from man's imagination or if it was an intentional plan and purpose in God's agenda. Before you got married, I'm sure you had a picture of, what you believe marriage should be or is. But now, with experience, you have been inside. This one is not from outside now. You are in it. And like I said, for almost a decade now, you've been married. What can you say? What can you say about marriage? Is it God's idea or man's idea?
Well, like every other institution, to a large extent, it's God's idea. The whole earth itself is God's idea. Man himself is God's idea. So everything related to man definitely will be God's idea. Then, so I think I've answered that. Then on my own experience, realities, and what I had in mind before I was coming in, I think it has not been much different for me because it has not been much different. I do say or will say that I don't think I have a perfect marriage yet. Please note that yet. Because I think we can be better than this. Myself and my wife, we do a whole lot of things together. People confuse our voices. People confuse our phone numbers. Sometimes people are talking to me. They don't know it's her. We use the same Facebook. So a whole lot of things.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that same Facebook and I was like, wow, this is interesting.
So, but I think we can still be better than that. I feel so. And I'm working on that. She's working on that.
So what did God really have in mind? Since you say that you have established that fact or that truth is not just a fact now, it's a truth.
Yeah.
Because everything we see today actually came from God's word. So what did God really have in mind when he instituted marriage? What do you think God had in mind?
Well, traditionally, the church will tell you, on wedding days, traditionally it's read that knowing that marriage is for companionship, procreation, sexual purity, at least these three basic reasons for marriage. But I look at it from God's perspective when he said to Adam, this is the garden, Genesis chapter 2, verse 15, this is the garden, dress it and keep it. Then if you go down that Genesis chapter 2, God now said, it's not good that man should be alone. I'll make for him a helpmeet comparable to him. Because the Bible went on to say that for all the other animals, there was a pair, there was another sex, if you want to put it that way. But there was no mate found for Adam. So God now said, I'll make a mate for him comparable to operate with him at his level. And then to help him fulfill the mandate I've given to him. So for me, what God had in mind was that, like scripture says to Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9, very straightforward, 2 is better than 1. The Bible goes on to say that 1 shall chase 1,000, 2 shall chase 10,000. So what marriage does is that it multiplies your strength. It multiplies your capacity. That's just the design. It aids your being able to fulfill God's mandate for you. And I mean, when I say for you, I mean for both spouses, both male and female, because God didn't make Eve, as it were, for Adam. Adam was also for Eve. So they're together. And that's why from the very beginning, he said, the two of them shall be one. So they come together to harmonize God's mandate and pursue it.
Wow,
I think
wow,
I'll
wow.
just say that was what God had in mind.
Wow. In fact, as you were saying something, I started seeing something that I think people who are not yet married, the singles that might be listening to this should really take note. So marriage is not about I'm of age, I should get married. Marriage is not about okay, I need to have children. That's not the primary reason. From what you this contribution you just made, you are saying that there is a purpose for each and every one of us as individuals. Now, coming together will intensify that purpose of being actualized, because two are better than one. You know, the strength is multiplied. Our capacity put together will make it difficult for anything to discourage us to really come, because the one will help the other. So you are not trying to say that. And there was a statement you made. You said that Adam couldn't get a mate in those animals who could come to his level. So it means that the woman you marry should come to you should see her as somebody that is on your level, is on your plane.
Yeah.
You know, so it's bringing a question to heart. So why is it that in marriage, to be very practical, it's usually seen as if the woman's capacity in thinking, or maybe bringing suggestions in making decisions, is not really at par with the men. There is a picture that is painted. It's not outrightly said, but many women feel that the husband's thinking is superior to theirs. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I think that's a norm. That's what society has come to make us believe. When I do marriage counseling, there's a topic I normally teach, marriage lies. I teach 10 lies, norms, what we have come to believe marriage is, but they are not true scripturally. One of the lies is that the man is more spiritual on one side. The woman should do the house chores. That's, all part of it mixed up together. So making it look like the man is the head and the woman is lesser. That was never the design. God's design was that they are par, they are one. But again, I would say that because of that social norm, of course, it has been indoctrinated into society. So to a large extent, women have come to accept, particularly Christian women. I think I'll be more precise. Christian women have come to accept that. Then pastors or church leaders, let me not leave it to pastors alone, are not helping issues. Most times, if you're at weddings, the way this scripture is emphasized, wives, submit to your husband, as if that was all that was said there. It started with Ephesians 5:21, where it says, submitting yourselves one to another. We somehow skip that and go to wives. And the pastor will face the woman and say, did you hear that? That's what the Bible says. And so, you set a template for them already. And somehow the woman is boxed into that template, even where sometimes the man is, sorry to use the word, not head. Somebody said, if you are getting married to a man, make sure he's driving you somewhere, otherwise the two of you are going to crash. Because if he's the one driving, if he's a knothead, he's going to crash, and you're going to surely crash with him. So these are the reasons why, to a large extent, that has become accepted norm, particularly in a society like ours. But for me, my challenge is to the men. Challenge every man, challenge myself inclusive, and that's why I said we are not perfect yet. The man is supposed to, if let's take it that you are more intelligent, let's use that word. Let's take it that you are more spiritual. Let's break it down. Your person, your person can be broken down into your intellect, your spirituality, your career, all of that. They are all part of you. So let's say you are higher in any of these spheres than your wife. Possibly you are higher in all of these spheres than your wife. Well, what it simply means is that the onus is on you to bring her to par with you. That's the only time the two of you can become one. Once there's a difference, you are not there yet. Just tell yourself the truth, you are not there yet.
So you are also telling us, as we are getting married, the things we should look out for beyond even our outward appearance. So if you are marrying somebody that you would not value his or her contribution in terms of maybe intellectual capacity or decision making, then it means that you should be prepared to do some extra work to bring up that person. There must be a reason why you should still be interested in that person. So from what you are saying, if a man is saying he's the head and he has seen maybe some gaps, and irrespective of the supposed gaps, because for me, I believe that nobody is useless. There is always a strength in every individual. So we should get ready to work together to bring ourselves. And you said until we get to that point, that oneness cannot really be enjoyed. That oneness, we have to be, yes. So it's a very critical point. Thank you for that. So with all that we are saying now, that God's idea is that man and woman should come together. The man being the head is for order, for things to be done, in decency. It's not as if anybody is particularly superior or inferior to the other person. We are submitting ourselves to each other because we are to help each other to grow, to improve, and to serve ourselves. So with this knowledge, particularly from we as people of faith, why is the divorce rate still increasing even amongst us? And there is this clause of some people, it's like some people are even getting afraid of, getting married. Why is this becoming prominent even amongst us people of faith?
Okay, well, several reasons. One is wrong indoctrination. I don't know who said this now. Somebody said this. I don't want to misquote. Once purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable.
Miles Monroe.
Miles Monroe. Okay, I was wanting to be sure. Now, when the purpose for marriage is gotten wrong ab initio, there's going to be issues, a whole lot of issues, imbalance in that too. I was talking with a young man recently. He's in the States, and his major concern about getting married is that he wants somebody who is a citizen so that he can have a stay. And I'm like, really? Is that the basis why you want to get married? Is that the basis you're making your decision? So he was like, yes, it will help him fulfill his purpose and all that. A lifetime decision. And I'm like, okay, but I know that you can equip yourself and now go for citizenship as a professional rather than must it be by marriage. He said this, that. So I'm just citing that as an example. If you have a faulty foundation, surely you're going to crash. Bible says that if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? So number one reason is a faulty foundation. I know that sometimes we can correct these things in the course of time in a marriage, so I'm not going to say that it must crash, but it's difficult. It's a pain and a struggle you can avoid from the beginning, So, but if that has happened in a marriage, for me, I don't still see that as reason for divorce. So let's assume now, I've said number one reason is a faulty foundation. That's one of the major reasons for divorce. Now we have a faulty foundation. Should we now say they should divorce? No. The other reason is self. Self. If I'm thinking of your own interest and you are thinking of my own interest, there wouldn't be so much of quarrel, let alone fighting and divorce, So the problem we have is self, and that's why if you read Galatians chapter 5 now, 22 and 23, when he finished outlining the fruit of the Spirit, he says, against such there is no law. So a man, a woman who is governed by God's Spirit, who is living the fruit of the Spirit out, you can't make a law. You can't take him to court. He's not ready to go discuss his marriage in court. He's not ready to go, make his marriage a case where we have to start judging, and he'll find a way. Is it peace we want? Have your way. Let's have peace. Of course, we need to strike a balance that you shouldn't pursue peace at the detriment of your own life. Life first, you must be alive. But a man and a woman who is filled with the Spirit of God, manifesting the fruit of the Spirit, need not divorce. So, second reason, self-interest.
Wow.
Self-interest. I should also add, finally, wrong theology. Our church leaders have not, when we teach marriage, we are not teaching the whole truth. What do I mean? When we say there's no divorce, we teach it like a hook and tie it around the couple's neck. It's not enough to tell them no divorce. We need to tell them how to make marriage work.
Wow.
That this thing is workable. It's not. I mean, this issue you are bringing up, I've had several issues, and I've looked at all of them. I can't find one issue that is enough for divorce.
That does not have a solution.
It has a solution. So the highest would be separation for a season, so that the other partner can get the issues right. But that you come and say a marriage that was consumed, that was solemnized before God's people in God's presence, come and say dissolve it, say break it up. No, I don't believe so. Even unbelievers, sorry to use them as an example. I mean, there are some of them that are doing well in their marriages. They've had their issues, they've had their fights. They didn't break it up. How much more you, a child of God, you're breaking up your marriage? Maybe I should add lastly, one of the reasons for high rate of divorce is models, or preferably lack of models. If in every church there are models of marriage, if in every church there are church fathers, church mothers, and young people can look at them and say, what's the trick? What's the magic in these people's marriage? It will be so easy to solve some of these cases that are leading to divorce. So I think those 4 things: foundation, self, faulty teaching, models, lack of models. Yeah.
That models you just mentioned is a critical one, because at least when you have people ahead of you that have gone before you, and you have seen, and you can even go to them, be open to them without any form of castigation or battering of fault finding. They will be open and tell you the way it is, how they themselves. I think one of the reasons why some people don't even see models is maybe the people that are supposedly supposed to be models are not being real. And when I say are not being
likely,
real, yes, they make it look as if maybe they don't have quarrels in their house. So people are like,
so you look like the sinner.
Yes. So they make it look as if you never have issues, that everything is just going on well, and they can't connect with that. So I think people should be vulnerable, as in, those that have gone ahead, we should be vulnerable. We should say it as it is, so that we can encourage the upcoming generation. Okay. So we said something about what makes people get divorced. Now, one of the reasons is that physical abuse, which you have said, there should be a balance. You need to be alive in this relationship, for you to sort out things. So I have seen that beyond physical abuse, I believe and I feel that there are other abuse that still go on in marriage. And I think one area I see that people are abused is emotionally. And I know that as people of faith, we don't live by our feelings. I want to make, yes, we don't live by our feelings. But how do couples, our listeners listening now, okay, the husband or the wife, because I've heard that some wives beat their husbands physically. so let's not just focus on men beating women. So either ways, you know, there's this physical outrage or whatever that goes on. But there are some people that might be here saying, well, there's no physical exchange of blows or whatever, but there is this kind of maybe spoken word that looks like you are slapping me by the way you talk at me, by the way, you know, you don't respect me. And I see that respect is reciprocal. So what will you say about emotional abuse? Do you believe there's something like that? And what can you define as that?
Emotional abuse, yes, there is. But please permit me to quickly say something about physical abuse. Once there's physical abuse, please separate for the moment. Please separate. I mean, I don't need to say more than that. There's something trending presently about that. So just separate for the moment, yes. So, but emotional abuse exists. Emotional abuse can go side by side with verbal abuse. Can be triggered by verbal abuse. Now, an emotional abuse may be non-verbal. Non-verbal in the context that there's something you do that hurts your spouse, and you are aware. You are aware. You can't pretend. See, if your spouse is not happy, you will know. Yeah. Except you are not being sincere with yourself. If your spouse is not happy with you, or with a situation, or with something external, it might not even be you. She's not happy about something that is going on at her office. She's not happy about something that is going on with her business. And you are nonchalant. That's an emotional abuse. The reason why you are there as her spouse or his spouse is for support. Two are better than one. If one falls, the other will help him up. That's what the Bible says. So if at any point your spouse is unhappy, whether it's triggered by you or it's something external, you should come in. Your spouse should be able to come home with all of the baggage thrown at her and say, don't worry, when I get home, I know I'll find relief. Your spouse may be unhappy. Let me give a very practical example. My wife says her leg is paining her. And I'm like, your leg is paining you. What do you expect me to do? Go and take a pill now. I mean, I'm not even a doctor to come to think of it. So how does your leg paining you concern me? You know, so she'll turn her face somehow. And I'm like, there's a problem here. Okay, I'm not a doctor, but let me see the leg. That alone changes her face. Yeah. You know, I just showing interest that let me see the leg. Okay, I think you should do this. Okay, let's call a doctor. Let me call my friend who is a doctor. I didn't do anything, but just that attention I gave her, that her leg, it heals. Before you know, tell me my leg is gone. But when sometimes, of course, she needs to take medication and her leg goes. So emotional abuse is very, very possible. And women are more sensitive emotionally. So I will encourage our men, pay attention to your wife's face. Once her face is changing one kind or her mood is changing, please get around her. Do something about it. But now emotional abuse could be verbal because the way you talk to her, don't ever talk your wife down. It's not just, it's not it. It's not it. I tell people that I have a lot of great ladies, great women around me, and for me, I quickly get attracted to what is good. If you have a grace, I would love you for it, and I wouldn't hide it. I'll celebrate you. But there's no basis celebrating somebody else's wife, or even somebody who would be another person's wife, where my own wife is at home. So I celebrate her steadily, regularly. I can't talk down at her, and I don't allow anybody to talk down at her. I don't take it from anybody. Wherever you are, wherever I get to, it's clear. I make it clear immediately that no, don't talk down to my. And I'm glad that I have a model in one of our fathers who said that if you offend me, I will forgive you. If you offend me, well, I'll leave you to God to sort you out. He said, but if you offend my wife, I will personally kill you. I won't mention his name. Those who have heard him say that know him.
If you
So
know, you
when
know.
I heard him say that, I said, good. If you know, you know. So I said, good. If daddy can say that, then I think I'm doing the right thing, because I had started doing that before I eventually heard him say that. So anything that, if you just try talking down my wife, you get the worst of me. I'll just show you my red eye. That no, I don't take that. And I've had instances where I had to, on her behalf, go say, please, my wife will not be involved in this again. So because church issue now, let me be a little bit more detailed. And she was working with a corrosive leader. And this person is like bullying her. Like, no, you don't talk to people like that because you are a leader. He kept on. I was using some kind of style to let it be known that I don't take that to people. You shouldn't talk to. She wasn't hearing. I just went to my senior pastor. I said, my wife is not part of this committee again. She's not part of this. She's not. My daddy was like, Pastor Ben, this, that. I said, yes, I know, I accept. But she's my wife. And I'm the one that gets it. I'm the one at the receiving end.
Yes, when she's not happy. Yeah.
No, I don't want that to happen again. So she didn't say anything. She didn't even send me. I'm doing this on my own. So that it won't look like she was the one reacting. In fact, she was pleading with me not to do that it will be misrepresented. I said, well, I don't care. At this point, it's clear that it's pissing you off. And the only way I can resolve it is to get you out of it. So I took it upon myself. Our pastor was making it look like, sounded like, Pastor Ben, you are like breaking protocol. You're like, well, whatever I want to break, I will break. Whatever I need to break, I will break.
As long as you don't break your home.
I'm not breaking my home. I'm not breaking my wife. Because what in aligning this is breaking my wife. So is it my wife I will allow to break when protocol is there standing? Protocol break, I beg. My wife stands. Abuse, emotional, it's there. And you need to stand against it with everything you have. Okay, so
thank you for championing our cause as women on the, avoidance of emotional abuse. So let's be balanced here, We are very balanced on At Home with Ifeno. So I think there's something that doesn't go down well with our spouses, our husbands. And it's and we can see it as an abuse. So what will you say to our listeners that are women, that maybe they don't know how to speak properly to their husbands, because there's a way you speak to a man that is like you are putting down the king in him. Now, the king in him is not pride, but there's a way you speak to your husband as a woman that he feels respected, like even in God's word, it says your husband will sit at the gate and many people will. So I think there's a way you can speak to a man that it's seen as abuse. I don't know what we will call that. Is it still under emotional abuse? But I want you to speak on maybe from you being a man, what is that thing that you would do to your husband that would make him feel that this woman doesn't even really know who I am, or she doesn't value? Because as we have said, abuse is abnormal use. Maybe we don't, and we're always being advised as women that we should watch the way we speak, that our mouth is very sharp. So what will you say about that, so that the men will not think I came to fire them here?
Okay, no, but I'm a man, so if I'm speaking for the women, the men should not feel that it's the women that is fighting them. But again, I quickly need to say this, that whatever applies to the man applies to the woman. Bible says that God made man in his own image, and went on to say that male and female made he them. So God is both male, God is female. The man, when God says man is male, man is female. When God said it is not good for the man to be alone, he also meant it is not good for the woman to be alone. So I think because of culture, the Bible was written by people who believe in a certain culture, and so they put it down that way. But if we are open to the Spirit of God, we will know that when God says man, he's talking about male, female. So if I said men, fight for your wives, I'm also saying wives, fight for your husband. I was using this word spouse, until Allah went on to say women are more emotional, which is truth. Women are more sensitive to words and actions than the men. But truth be told, men are very emotional. I'm a very emotional person, like seriously, very, very emotional. And my wife could easily turn me off. I taught somewhere, and I said that I did a teaching somewhere, and I said that they were both naked and not ashamed. What that translates to is that there are things I know of my wife no one else knows. There are things she knows of me no one else knows. Why is so? Is because I'm the one at the receiving end, and for her, she's the one at the receiving end. You come outside, you meet me in public, you meet me in church, you meet me at occasions, and you're like, Pastor Ben is wonderful. I'm an amazing man. Come to the house and ask my wife. She said, he's a good husband. But he can't keep the simple 4 rules I've told him about my bedroom. I like my bedroom spotlessly clean. I'm like, girl, I'm trying. Most times, those 4 rules, I keep 3. 3 out of 4 is 75%. And 75% is at 8 by any standard. Maybe like I've heard you. Keep 4 rules. I don't want you to keep 3 rules. So what I'm trying to say is that the woman too, anything you do, please, this is very important. I think I must say this. Don't show respect for any other man higher than your husband. Please, It's very important. Very important. For me as a pastor, in church, women, the women in church would, want to say daddy, they want to say kneel down, they want to. I try as much as possible to avoid that in relating to a married woman. And if I'm relating to a married woman, I call you ma. But irrespective of your age, irrespective of whether you have a child or not, I call you ma. When I speak to your husband, I see his mommy around, I had to start to learn that. And so if I'm asking for your husband, I say, is daddy around? So to let them know that he should be valued. He should be I can't really take home your respect. What I would take home is what my wife gives to me. So the same thing, your husband can't take home other people's respect and regard. What they can take home is what you give to them. So please, it's very important. For me, my problem is not even a case of my wife did anything wrong or said anything wrong. No. If I want something done this way, usually I'll say, I call her my home girl. I'll say, girl, do it like this. And she'll be like, it's my husband, he has too many rules, blah, blah, blah. I said, just keep it. It's not part of the 10 commandments. It's not so difficult. Just keep it. It's a simple rule. I just like it being that way. And many times she say, okay, well, I've heard you, my husband with many principles. And there are some of these things she still struggles with. And sometimes I'll be like, this my wife doesn't want to change. Like, no, we're working on it. We're working on it. And she hasn't done anything wrong. That thing is specifically what I want. Specifically my own idiosyncrasy. It's peculiar to me. Not every man asks such things, Although it's not like Nebuchadnezzar that asks the wise men what no king has ever asked, what cannot be done. But there are little things, maybe because of my upbringing, my personality. I'll say, no, girl, I want it this way, I want it that way. They'll be like, that's not normal. That's not the normal. I say, no, do it that way for me, because that's how I want it. So when it's like she's struggling to get those things done that way, sometimes I feel a little bit discouraged. Sometimes I feel I'm not too happy about it. But I know that those things are not intentional. I know that those things are me. She's also her. She's coming from somewhere. She's coming from a background. She's coming from an upbringing. She's coming from an experience that is quite different from mine. So I don't expect her to change everything overnight. It doesn't work that way.
Because you two are also in progress. Are also going
in progress. I'm in progress.
Yes.
Particularly about our rules, plenty rules, household.
Both of you have your own rules, but there will always be a meeting point handling the rules. Thank you so much, Pastor Ben. Thank you. So before we continue on this discussion, I would just like you to tell our listeners, I know you have a book. Can you speak about, tell us about the book briefly, and your social media handles? How can people connect with you? There might be somewhere that like, oh, I really enjoyed this episode with the guest. So they might want to know how to either follow you on our different social media. So I'll give you this time to talk about your book, how the book can be gotten, and your social media handles.
Okay, I'll start with the social media handles. Seriously, I'm not a great fan of social media. sorry. You know, you would expect that in this age and generation, but that's one of the reasons why my wife and I use the same Facebook. I mean, it's abnormal, in quotes. Supposedly, I should have my own, but I got married to her with her using Facebook. I wasn't on Facebook. I said, okay, well, why do I open another one? The two of us are one. So just went on like that. So that's for social media. And I know that Ifeno will help me put them up here. She has all the handles. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. But I'm not the most active person, I must say that. But yeah,
you're what not I try alone. To do is I'm also just stepping up in the social media game.
Okay, but what I try to do every month, I try to appear at least once a month. No matter how bad it is, I try to appear. Usually on the first day of the month, with a message for the month. Then my book, Son of My Right Hand, very quickly. It's actually an autobiography, but my goal was to drive people to pursue God, to live to please God in every way. If He says, do it this way, do it that way, might not be convenient, but do it that way. So what I did was I gave examples. You know, I wrote my story. I wrote the story, but I gave examples specific where God intercepted my own ideas, my concepts, my ideologies, intercepted my own plans, and I just followed suit.
Wow.
And that inspiration came from, you know, in the introduction, I cleared that because it would look like I called it Son of My Right Hand because Benjamin means son of my right hand. I called it Son of My Right Hand because, okay, maybe Benjamin means son of my right hand and it's an autobiography, but because Jesus was the perfect son of the right hand. You know, He said, this is my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. You know, so that's my own goal too. I want God to be able to say about me that, okay, if I look for somebody on the earth, I can always find Ben. And that's the basis, that's the story of that book.
Okay.
How do we get it? If you're outside the country, of course, Amazon, it's on Amazon. Just type in Son of My Right Hand. I should say proudly, let me boast like Paul, that's the only Son of My Right Hand I've seen. I've not seen any other book titled Son of My Right Hand. Then, but if you're in Nigeria, because of shipping costs and dollar and all of that, just get to me. I will send it to you. Then you can look at where you are. We determine the cost for dispatch.
Thank you so much, Ben Yoro, for telling us more about yourself beyond what you are discussing. So before you go, I would just like you to, you know, we've said that marriage is God's idea, and God has a blueprint or an original plan. So we know that sin and, in a way, culture, man's ideology has been infused. Is there any way you think God's original plan for marriage can be restored with all the noise and all the distractions about marriage? You know, now we're even seeing things about the LGBT issue of a male marrying another male and things
Adam
like
and
that.
Steve.
Yes. So do you see any hope of God's original plan, that plan He had? Is there any hope of that being restored back?
Yeah, there is because you know, the truth about God is that when He decides a thing, Like we used to say in common parlance, last, last, what God decided will come to pass. It will come to pass. But another thing I should say here is that the way we look at things is not the way God looks at it. God doesn't look at life here on earth as the end. You and I know that there's an afterlife. You and I know that there's a millennial reign. You and I know that after the millennial reign, there's a coming back. So you and I know that there's eternity, which is quite longer than all we'll ever have here. So ultimately, God's original plan will still come to hold. But while we are here, there are some things we can do to change the tide. It's looking like we are shifting very, very far away from God's original plan. For me, one of the things we shouldn't do is not to begin to castigate people.
Okay.
Please, let's note that. Don't castigate people, don't call names, don't label people. God himself has allowed man to the freedom of choice. He's giving man the free will. God did that. It was God's prerogative. So you can't withdraw that free will. You as a person can't and shouldn't withdraw that free will. Let them make up their minds, make their decision, take their stance, but begin to engage them from where they are standing. Not trying to force them or castigate them or label them or separate them. There will be a separation. You are not the one who will do it. And this is not the time. God will decide that time. So firstly, let's not castigate people. Let's not separate people. Let's not label people. That's one. 2, modeling. Let's model for them. Those of us who are married, let's model. In fact, we have a big problem with modeling. We've not been able to model marriage for our brethren in the church. Then how do we convince those that are outside the church that this marriage should be this way? This marriage, we should stick to it like this. It's really painful. Really, really painful. But we have a lot of work to do there. Then proper teaching. As we teach truths, we will find out that I think with these 3, let's not castigate people. Let's model properly. Then let's teach. Let's keep teaching. Let's keep talking about it. Truth cannot be hidden. 2 Corinthians 13:8. It says we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. There's no way you can bend truth. It's just one. But I think where we are missing it is that Jesus came with grace and truth. Many a time, if you speak truth without grace, you will end up hurting people. If you speak grace without truth, there will be a lot of abuse. So both must go together, grace and truth. That's why, largely, Jesus never sent anybody away. He gave you the choice. You make the choice. If you want to come. If you don't want to come, well, choice is yours. So, but this is truth. He just puts the truth across and lets everyone decide. That's why he said somewhere, he says, I did not come to condemn anybody. He said, the words that I speak, what are the words? Those words are truth. The truth that I speak will judge people. I don't need to sit in judgment. And so, Jesus is not judging. Why are you judging? Don't judge anybody. Let them come. And he says he's trans, he's gay, he's whatever. When he wants to come to church, you're welcome. Please come. The doors of the church are open. But in the church, we'll still teach truth. And I believe as you are exposed to these truths,
over
as
time,
you begin to see models, you don't need more than that. Then, of course, there's the Spirit working with every truth we teach. He said, the Lord working with them, confirming the word with signs and wonders. Some of the signs and wonders we're going to see in this dispensation is a lot of changed lives. We might not see a lot of people rising from their wheelchairs again because the wheelchairs are getting fewer and fewer. We might not see a lot of blind eyes opening up today, but we're going to see a lot of lives, hearts changing.
Amen.
By reason of the truth we teach and model.
Wow. What I don't even know the word to use to qualify today's episode. As in, it has really been, I can go on and keep bringing the questions, but thank you, Ben Yoro, Benjamin, son of God's right hand. Thank you so much for this session. Indeed, it's a dream come true. I know my listeners might not understand why I'm saying this, but this episode has really been on my heart, to unbundle. And I know that we can never finish it. We keep learning, loading what God puts. Thank God for His wisdom. And we are looking forward to more of you on At Home with Ifeno. We believe that whenever we call you again, you'll gladly receive our invitation, and
I will.
And we know we'll have a very what's the wild time with you. Thank you, and God bless you, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm really grateful. God bless you too. Please keep this up. It's an amazing thing that you're doing. Please keep it up.
Thanks for joining us this week on At Home with Ifeno. Check us out on Instagram at Ifeno17. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next in 2 weeks' time.